You're listening to the Roundtable Podcast with your host, Shogun, and special guest, River Lyle.
Thank you, Wolven Rain. Welcome to my special guest, River Lyle. Welcome to the live audience and welcome to the podcast and YouTube audience. We are the Roundtable Discord server. Find us on Discord, social media, and on our website. That being said, River Lyle is an old and very dear friend of mine who I've gotten to know over quite a long time. And he's a very unique and interesting character, to say the least. And I think I underestimated him for quite a long time and misunderstood him for quite a long time. Now I think we have a bit more of an understanding, and I would like to make that understanding even deeper if we can. So, River Lyle, how are you, my friend? Welcome.
It's good to be here, Shogun, because even though I don't know what we're going to be discussing, I like it when people communicate with each other. I mean, on an equal basis, like just people amongst people communicate.
As do I, my friend, which is why we love the round table and all the friends we have here that we get to talk to. And you're, as you know, here with me most days. So where would you say, River Lyle, is the best place to start the story of your life? Where would you start? Would you start as a child? Or like, where did you...
I would most definitely say that my story did start as a child. Of course, like from a very young age, I already remember things like from ages back when I was about 2 years old or 1 year old, going on vacation in airplanes to faraway countries and actually experiencing tropical climates. I wasn't born in a tropical climate myself. I was born in the UK. But I mean, having experienced India as a little kid, I went to India. My parents decided we're going to take him to India. We're going to take him to Nepal, up the mountains. It was quite an adventure.
So can you tell us a bit about your trips to Nepal? That sounds fascinating.
Well, there's not much that I remember about this high place in the mountains we went to, except that there was already a house and a kind of communal area of people welcoming us. I remember basically just uh, being in a kind of environment where the air was cool. Like I remembered it, from being born into the cool air, but also it was more of a social place. It was more of a social place. This place in the mountains than, for example, a beachside party. Because before we went to Nepal, we actually stayed in Goa, I believe. That's
Goa,
yeah.
near Thailand, right?
No, Goa is on the west coast of India.
Okay. So
It's
were you
it's
older
right.
when you were in India?
No, I was very young when I was in India,
Okay.
very young, and then I think we went to Nepal, and after that we went back to Europe.
Wow. And you're currently residing in Amsterdam, correct?
Now recording.
I'm now residing in Amsterdam. That's true. Although, I mean, I've been to many places. Never specifically like far out of the Asian or Middle Eastern or European continents. Never to Africa, for example. Never to America.
Okay, I
Uh,
understand. So I know you've had some pretty extraordinary experiences that most people will probably never experience. So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about those for sure. So one of them is I think you've been shot twice in your life. Is that correct?
I, as far as I remember, for example, like memories, they could be false memories. I give you that, but when something leaves a mark in the form of a mental or physical scar, you want to second think. Like you want to backtrack your movements. You want to just know where the
Yes.
fuck did that mark on my life come from. And I do remember two instances in my life where it was exactly like being shot. It hurt, like it hurt like a fucking piercing pain, either in the head or in the chest. And the way out was terrible. I mean, just because you don't want to die, you just don't leave a dead body, and you do your best to recuperate. And if you can survive without the severe chest pain or headache, way to go, man. Like seriously, way to go.
So can you tell me the story about when your ex-wife shot you?
She
Something
was
about
never
hunting
my
rabbits.
wife. She was never my wife, but she was a girl who I had known since quite young. I mean, extremely young. She was always well known to be hanging around parts of Europe, mainly the Benelux. It's hanging around Amsterdam, Brussels, even going to Germany. She told me her mom was
Okay, but River, tell me about when she shot you.
okay. So after a very uh, rough and difficult relationship with her, that we were actually partners. She was my girlfriend. I was her boyfriend. She lived in my house, and we moved to a new house together.
Yeah,
And then we broke up simply because she decided to say, you know, I don't care what you think, but you're not the one for me. There's nothing you can do to make me stay, and I'm leaving you. She left me, and I ended up finding out that she didn't like leave the city and leave the country I was in. And I also found out that she was staying in a psychiatric hospital and owned an old hunting rifle that was probably her family or grand family's inheritance that was given to her. Right, so she had a rifle, was staying in a psychiatric hospital, and was shooting rabbits out the window. And I found out the hard way. I mean, at first I thought, hell, if she's really there, I'm gonna go there by myself, and see if I can talk to her or see what she's up to at least. And she was uh, sitting there by the window, actually shooting the rabbits or shooting at the rabbits. And I thought, okay, well, I don't agree with this because I don't like what it looks like. I don't like the fact that it's my ex girlfriend who basically already put me through such a hard time. That she now has a rifle and can just say, okay, well, rabbits are free game, I guess. Yeah, but to use a gun in the city and to shoot rabbits, I think there must be some laws against that. I thought to myself. So I walk up to that window and I see her hanging out the window, and she starts aiming at me, and I think to myself, oh, okay, this might be the end of me right now, I guess. But I stand my ground and I tell her that I don't agree with what she's doing, and I say that to her. And as I say that, she says, "You're gonna go," and she starts aiming at me, and I managed to dodge the bullet. She did not really like strike me with it; it grazed me, and I was scared. But luckily, that was just an old rifle, not some automatic machine gun that could reload the wind. And I managed to just flee, turn my tail and run, and think,
So
okay,
River, is this a different story than the one where you had a metal plate over your chest and got shot, or is it the same story?
no, no, because it's the same story. Later on, I thought to myself, if she's got a gun and she's still hanging out there, I take it upon myself to go there again and confront her again. But this time I went into the building. I said to the people in there, that young girl, that little girl with the gun, who shoots your rabbits for you, and who probably has a notoriety among you. I said that to the people who were there, and they said, "Yeah, one moment, we'll go get her." She arrived at the top of this flight of stairs there, like on the way up to the second floor. It's the first floor. I mean, yeah. So the ground floor up, about two flights of stairs. I went up one flight, and she confronted me from the first floor, looking at down upon me, standing there on the second flight between the two floors. And she said, "Okay, well, what have you got to say for yourself?" And I said, "Well, I came here because you've got a gun and you really hate me that much that you'd shoot at me the first time, then I might as well be done with my life and see what the afterlife is like, because I don't want to live with myself if someone can hate me that much. I really, that's probably what I would have said to her. Yeah, and she said, okay, you got it. That's what you asked for. I'm gonna shoot you right here and now. And because I think I must have come prepared, to just give her a second chance. I might have hung a steel plate in front of my chest, just to, just as a barrier between this gun and the bullet that would fly out. And yes, what I remember is one bullet striking me in the chest. How many bullets after? As many bullets as she would have for a gun. And just because I managed to choke out this bullet, if it went through the steel plate, I would have removed the steel plate and I said, "Oh yeah, nice try, but don't shoot me," and I would have given her a second chance. And she decided to shoot me anyway. I felt the bullet pierce my chest, pierce my heart. I lay there on the halfway flight of stairs, thinking to myself, okay, that's that. I lay there with my eyes open. My consciousness drifted from my body until I was looking into my own eyes. I wasn't feeling the pain. I was I was practically just having an out of body experience. I did not physically feel my pain, but mentally, the weight of of having had such an end was very strong. As I looked down upon myself, I thought, what's going to happen to me now? I'm dead, and she killed me. How can she live with herself? And she thought to herself, probably, how do I get myself out of this mess? She thought. And whatever happened afterwards, is very hazy, because as I lay there and she poured some liquid over my chest, it began to foam and the bullet popped out. And she stood there in astonishment as I choked again, and 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 said, "How the fuck did you do that?" But of course, like if you see somebody do something like that, not out of their own accord, it wasn't my choice. But if somebody comes back to life after you shoot them in the heart and they have no scar, it, but I said, I must have said, that really fucking hurt. And I carried myself home, like leaning on my bicycle. I decided to walk myself home, back home, and lie down in bed for at least a week with a severe heart attack.
Wow. A severe heart attack for a week after being shot twice in the mental hospital in the heart. So do you think, how do you interpret this? Was this a dream? Was this a vision? Was this a supernatural occurrence somehow? And what do you think?
It was most definitely all of those things, because I would never have been able to think it up into existence and just have a dream. Although, looking back, if somebody did dream that, uh, they might even be able to wake up with a severe chest pain. So I was always in doubt of this happening to me. But even if it was but a dream, that girl did exist, and my pain in my heart lasted at least a week before I managed, to have enough energy to even go out the house and do some shopping, or buy a gram of weed. I mean, like, wow.
Okay. So, River, this is very interesting. So I just have a few questions. So this is a vision, a dream, and a supernatural occurrence. So this isn't something that actually happened, obviously, in the real world, because we know this would be impossible. You know that, right? Like this couldn't have happened in real life because you would have died.
Well, that's the problem, you see. When you learn to define the difference between reality and a dream, It's actually because you wake up from dreams. It's not that that you wake up and there's still that nagging sensation of what the fuck just happened to me, and it wasn't a dream. There's none of that. Like when you wake up from a dream, you're usually there with a sigh of relief from waking up. When I woke up that next morning, I thought to myself, is this still going on? Do I still have a pain in my chest? I thought to myself, if that was all real, then I fear for my life in the future. If that's already real, then life, maybe I'm going downhill. Maybe things can only get worse, I thought to myself.
Okay, so I want to ask you something else then. Do you remember when you thought, I know you do remember it, but you remember when you thought I was your next door neighbor and that I was trying to kill you?
I remember that, but that's simply because we, Shogun, we were at the moment in our lives where we were just trying to, as on like for you, it was a friendly rivalry, and for everyone else in the server, the MK Ultra server, it was a form of friendly rivalry to just challenge each other's words. And I was not trying to challenge you, but I was trying to show you that you 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 cannot make a statement based uh, on infactual evidence. You made a statement that, for example, in unarmed combat, you defeat anybody. And my simple reply was, yes, but in combat, I'm allowed to arm myself. You said, fuck that, I don't agree. And if you do that, I'll kill you, you said.
Do you really think that's what I said, River?
That's what it felt like. And I said, well, you don't know that. I said, I didn't immediately say, no, you're not able to, and I have a second degree black belt. I did not say that.
Okay, well, hold on.
My belt is not
Hold
that
on,
black.
just 1 sec. So first of all, this is obviously not what I said. I never threatened to kill you or anything like that. But even if I had, how would that make me your next door neighbor?
Well, ever since I moved into this house where I live in now, where I started to live with a new girlfriend, a new start to things, right? Uh, I had great, wonderful times. I actually had to let go of my old girlfriend in a very painful way because she did try and follow me, shadow me into my future relationships and try and mess things up for me even further than she already had, which I didn't think was possible because I thought like I already survived the bullet to the heart. What else can you throw at me now? Like yeah. Um,
I
even
see.
though even though I moved into this new house that I'm in now with a new girlfriend, actually not 4 years younger like the first one, but more than 20 years older than me. So it was a totally different new page in my life. And I noticed people were jealous. Not only was my ex-girlfriend jealous of me actually being able to turn the page, but also my neighbors were jealous that I had such a hot, old, uh, nice looking, voluptuous lady as a girlfriend. For example, my next door neighbor, he was beyond jealous. He was trying to seduce her with amphetamine and $25 a pop for a fuck. So, I mean, if that's what he had on his mind, he probably wanted me out of the picture, and he has ever since.
So you're first of all, you thought that I had threatened to kill you, but furthermore, that your next door neighbor wanted to fuck your girlfriend and was giving her meth, or I mean, amphetamines and money, or offering her that for
Yes,
sex. But then also you thought that I was that self-same next door neighbor who was jealous of your girlfriend. So a guy on me, your friend on the Discord server, is your neighbor. Your neighbor, me, Shogun, lives
the
next
only
door to you in
reason,
Amsterdam.
yes, but the only reason I was confused was because at, at both moments that somebody gave me a vibe that felt threatening to the point that I was thinking, if we're talking about life and death, I already have a neighbor who is also perfectly willing to kill me. So if Shogun also says something like that, I could kill you, Shogun would say. Then
You gotta stop saying that about me, bud. That's
I
not
put
true.
two and two together and say, well, are you my next door neighbor? I'd say jokingly, but also askingly, because I'm really keen to find out. And nowadays, Shogun, I don't believe that. I think you're probably not even capable of such evil as stealing someone else's, coveting a wife. No, I don't. I don't think you're capable of that.
Well, I could covet a wife any day, but I'm not going to try and murder you. And I'm definitely don't live in Amsterdam, and I'm definitely not your next door neighbor, and I definitely never threatened to kill you. But that's okay. I just wanted to get that story out. So I want to ask you one more story, at least, which is I think you also said one time your mother shot you too, right?
Yes, I remember this because me and my next girlfriend, right, the older lady, she was also going through changes in her life. She'd had many a relationship, not just three three relationship. No, she already had boyfriends and perhaps even girlfriends that she tried to have long term relationships with. And at a certain moment in her life, she thought the only way she could uh, get get beyond like feeling chained down by a relationship was to get rid of me because she thought she still wanted to be free without uh, bonds, without promises. She always wanted to be a free soul, a free spirit. All her life she's been traveling away from her birth country and trying to live the life in the West here in the Netherlands and thinking to herself, yeah, okay, I did my best. I became a model for art classes, and I prefer to be alone, she said. And she went to my mom, who used to be in one of those art classes as the pupil learning how to draw a nude model. So they already knew each other long before I ever like got got acquainted with her. And she complained to my mom and said, your son is hell, and I wish he'd just leave. And my mother took it upon herself to say, oh yeah, well, I suppose that is a problem. And my mother thought, stupidly enough, that she should take it upon herself to say, if she created such a problem, she can solve it. So yeah, I remember my mother thinking, what I've granted life, so I can take it away. And that's a very sad feeling for a son to find out about their mother, that they that their own mother has claims to, to their children's lives, in the sense that they think I granted life, so therefore it's my right to take it away. If you know what I'm talking about, you'll see that uh, it's not a rational thing. The- to-
So
to-
River, you said she made some kind of improvised firearm and shot you with it, right? Can you tell us about that part in specific?
that's that. This is a much more funny story to tell than like being shot in the chest, because I remember her like telling me to sit down and wait as I get my piece of advice from my mother. She comes at me with an improvised tube and a hammer. I think, what the fuck, mom? She puts the tube to my head and hammers on the other end, and I feel like a piercing sensation in my temple as the bullet pierces my head. And the first thing I do is I go knock out for a moment, but not unconscious. No, not unconscious. No, I'm aware of my surroundings even when I sleep. So when I get knocked out by a bullet, it's not that I go unconscious and all that. No, I'm still aware of what's going on around me, and I hear a conversation between my mother and my girlfriend at the time, and they're saying, "Okay, what now? What next? What the fuck did you do to him?" my girlfriend says, why did you do that? And at that moment, I just popped back. My head pops back up. And I walk to the kitchen cabinet. I grab a paper bag. I put it against my head until I just stop bleeding. And they look at me in amazement. And they think, fuck. How did you do that? They ask, full of excitement. And I take the tube and the bullet because my mom, she must have had more bullets. I mean, there's more where they came from. And I do the same to my mom. I literally give her a cookie of her own dough. And then I grab a paper bag. I lay it against my mom's head and I said, see what that feels like, Mom? And she's had
Wow.
migraine attacks ever since.
That's an incredible story, River. I'm sorry you've been shot so many times. So that's a few times in the heart and in the head. So last question, and then we'll open the lines up for questions and comments. How many people you told me that you've killed, or how many people do you estimate you've killed in your life?
I've been attacked so many times that more than often, I don't try to fix what I've done. You know, more than often, I need to defend myself to the death, and it doesn't end up with me dying. It ends up with someone else who I don't even care enough about to even go to a funeral or write a farewell note to. I drag them out into the street. I call the ambulance, the fire department to say that I'm not prank calling, and the police just to make sure that everything keeps in an orderly fashion, and they remove these dead bodies for me, you know, because it's not my fault that I get attacked, but it's also not within my rights to defend myself. So I've had to kill many more times than than people have actually managed to kill me, which is already say more than twice I've died, okay, or could have died, but many more times than twice have I needed to kill, and that's not funny. No, it's very sad because when you live a life on the edge with people actually actively trying to kill you, to the point where you don't care what happens to them and you'll do anything to defend yourself. They don't meet nice ends.
So what is your usual method of killing these people?
Whatever is necessary. I mean, like, if they come at me with grenades, I manage to throw the grenade back at them sometimes.
You have caught a grenade midair and thrown them back at the person who threw it.
It's tough, I know.
Okay, so just thank you. Okay, sorry, River. All right.
One time, for example, and this happens even more often than you can imagine, not specifically to me, but in general, in life, everyday life, people, they prefer not to kill. They prefer to maim you because that leaves a scar and a mark toward you all and anyone who sees it.
Okay, so thank you, River, for answering my questions. We're now going to open up all the lines. So if anybody wants to ask a question of River or make a comment or anything, we'll turn it over to the crowd now.
Okay, River, I have a question.
Yes, that's an open mic for you all. You can all.
Don't you think that some of these situations
or even ask
might-
questions? We'll be here.
don't you think some of these situations you have made up in your head might, due to your disorder, not actually happened? Because you do have a mental disability.
It's not technically a mental disability, but that's a fair point. I should have asked this question to do due diligence to the situation. Are you comfortable of talking about your diagnosis, River?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
my own diagnosis was never considered complete in the sense that it evolved from starting as a sleeping disorder to then a drug-induced psychosis, to then after that more of just a psychiatric problem, in the sense that even though I was trying to deal with it myself, my own psychiatric problem, other people were trying to deal with it at the same time, and I just got put in a psychiatric hospital for many months, usually every year, for many years after each other, simply because other people thought it was necessary, against my will or with my consent, sometimes even. But yeah, often enough, it was just how would I say? It was just many things coming together in my life, and
Right.
sometimes it felt good to be in a psychiatric hospital, because not only do I meet very interesting people who I learn to value and respect for who they are, they learn to respect and value me for who I am and what I'm going through. And out of how do you say, out of common need for like just a bit of love in this cold, hard world that we live in, people manage to just even give each other a hug, even if they don't know each other, and they're trapped in a hospital, or uh, even in, I'm sure in jail cells, even in jail cells where men are kept separate from the women. There is even enough love to give each other a hug. Don't forget that.
I think the men in prison give a little bit more than a hug.
Okay, so does anyone else have a question or a comment for River's story? If not, we can just make this into a freestyle podcast now. But I do want to thank River extremely much for your story, and this is really interesting. You can certainly tell us more about it, but anyone is free to bring up any subject they want at this point.
I'd like to ask you, Shogun, like in your many experiences training in the art of martial arts. That means the art of defending yourself when opposed with lethal force. Okay, in your many years of training martial arts, what were your most scary moments? I'd like to know, Shogun. What were the moments that made you think this is the foe I'm facing in reality? This is
Well, the scariest moments of my martial arts career, I guess the first one that comes to mind was not scary at all. So I guess to answer your question honestly, I was wrestling, big strong guy, bigger than me, and like we were also doing this drill where I was doing squats with him on my back, and then we were wrestling, and I didn't feel nothing because that's what happens a lot of the time. But I blew, I guess, one of the ligaments in my knee. I can't remember if it was the PCL or the ACL or the MCL. I honestly can't remember, but I fucked my knee up real bad. But I didn't even notice. So I kept wrestling, for quite a long time. I didn't feel anything. And then the next day I got up to take a piss, and I put my leg down on the ground and tried to stand on it. And I screamed at the top of my lungs, like in agony. I've never done that before. I have an extremely high pain threshold, and that was like a 10 out of 10 pain. My knee was fucked. And then I had to spend like, I don't know, 6 or 8 months literally sitting in an office chair and just using my right leg to wheel myself from my bed, where I'd have to lie all day, every day, to the bathroom, take a piss, wheel myself back. And yeah, if I didn't have my ex-wife to take care of me then I would have been fucked. But and then in Canada, it's free healthcare, but the system is slow. So to get the MRI took longer than for me to recover, and I recovered freak fast and freak well. Because the reason it was the scariest moment of my career was because when you blow your MCL like that, a lot of time it never really recovers. And so it can be a career-ending injury. But now my knee's as strong as ever. At another point, I did also blow my other knee. So basically, same story, just doing a throw, executed it wrong, blew the other knee. So I've blown both my knees. those are the worst injuries. Another scary moment was when a strong purple belt applied an ankle pick on me, and it went crack, and it literally sounded like you took like a dry broom handle and just snapped it, and it rang through the whole gym. So I thought then my ankle was broken for sure, but again, got lucky, healed quick, wasn't that bad.
So it's a common experience among us both. But what we fear most is not even the pain itself, but the agony, like just the unbearable feeling of defeat because of pain or because of a loss or because of a life changing moment. You know, where for example, I'd have to put it like this: even when it comes down to people scaring scaring the living daylights out of you with a horror story or or a real life story that you just find so utterly distasteful that it scares you to pieces. It's the fear, of the agony or the agony of the fear even that is your biggest enemy, isn't it, Joe?
I don't know. I'm not afraid of fighting, really. I mean, it's not exactly scary to me. Competition is scary, but it's not because I'm afraid of the fighting. It's because it's the performance anxiety from the crowd. So you have to perform in front of a group of people sitting in the bleachers, the auditorium thing, whatever. It's like a gym or whatever. And so that's really the only part is the waiting for hours and hours to compete. And it's a very tense environment with a lot of people sitting around getting ready for fights. So it's full of like nervous energy. That's really the only part of fighting I find scary is competing because of the audience. But in terms of fighting itself, I don't find it scary and I enjoy it. And injuries don't scare me, but there's the concept of not being able to fight again scares me. And I know that I'm only ever one injury away from a career-ending injury, and the rate of injury in training is about one serious injury every 6 to 8 months. So, I mean, I'm lucky. My body's still good, actually. But
Yeah, for me also, it's the fear of not being able to fight again that scares me most because I know my life has been a fight since day one. Because I've had to deal with the elements around me, just being hostile in hostile environment, like wildlife in India willing to eat me, and stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, you learn to be very self-aware when you're faced with amazing amounts of danger in your life, to the point where it's a feeling of I hope I can perform this fight against whatever it is that's opposing me or whatever it is I need to bash through. If there's an obstacle that's not supposed to be there, I'm one of the first to say, "Can I destroy it for us all?" I mean, is this in our way, uh, or can I remove it?
so, River, why do you think your life is so extraordinarily dangerous? And who are the thousands of people that try to kill you? And what do you
No,
think their
no, no, no.
motivation in
So
trying to kill you is?
no. Don't worry. There's not thousands. There's never been thousands of people trying to kill me. When I talk about numbers and say so many have tried because I lost count, realized that I mean, if you had to count them, you'd be able to maybe, but you'd get stuck. Perhaps I've killed about 37 people, but I mean that's just a rough estimate, because maybe they were all just figments of my imagination. Let's even hope so. Then I won't get all those criminal justice courts chasing me, saying you did this wrong, you did that wrong. And otherwise, if they were real people, then I hope they're not missed because then I did the right thing.
Wow, it's very interesting. I'm not sure exactly what to say.
Very interesting.
So, how would you describe your quality of life right now?
Not bad at all. I'm happy, even though I don't have like the companionship of a female to just keep me warm at night. I would never be able to like use them as a heater, even though it's nice to snuggle up to people. You can't use them for like for selfish purposes, though. Yeah,
And you take some medication, I think. Does it help you?
it does. It helps me a lot. I've been told by many people that I speak to on not only this Discord, the round table, but other Discords, that it's important to have something to take the edge off, to make life bearable. So most of the Discords I joined were, surprisingly enough, related to computer games, because nowadays people play computer games simply because they need a pastime, something to take the edge off, something to divert their attention from anything bothering them. So why not kill people in CS:GO?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I wouldn't agree with that because you can get aggressive by playing these shooter video games, even more so than you were before. So it goes both ways.
Well, I've got to say, uh, these things that you see in violent computer games, and even before, like computer games were such a big hype, the things you see in violent movies, or in boxing matches, the things you see in sports like boxing matches, they don't promote violence any more than they teach you how to manage violence. I mean, like if somebody threw a punch at you, you'd be able to much more easily know, to put up your guard just by having seen only one boxing match in your life. You know? So I gotta say, yeah, okay. So these computer games, they might, in one sense, promote violence, but they definitely don't like, show the other side. That if it's cops and robbers, then we're rooting for like maybe the cops, or we're yeah. It's been like that. I mean, ever since you watch your friend play a game, you might be rooting for your own character, or you might be waiting for a go, so you hope they just die so you can take over the controller.
Right. Well, River, what would you say then is the most significant moment in your life? Like, do you remember when you first had one of these experiences, for example, where you realized that you didn't know anymore if it was real or not? Like,
Oh
when did that
yes.
start?
It the first moments that I had, of discomfort for actually not knowing the difference between what was real or not was, in the form of, what was described to me as auditory hallucinations, but it was not like laying upon me in the sense that, I know, you're having auditory hallucinations. It was told to me that if you hear things, not all the things you hear are actually real sounds. You can hear things that you imagine. You Because it was already well known by the psychiatrists who were trying to help these young kids that I got put in the same psychiatric hospital as, they're all suffering from anxiety because of, dealing dealing with situations that they can't understand. So dealing with their thoughts, dealing with their, paranoia, and also dealing with, like, the feeling that they have a gift of, mind over matter. This means that some of us might have been totally batshit crazy, thinking that they knew everything, and others, they were just maybe feeling like they didn't understand anything, and they thought they'd like to understand, like, what the fuck is going on with them. And, I came to a moment, in my life where I thought, I don't know what else to do. I'm not bored, because, there's a lot happening, but there's literally nothing I can add of superior value to everything that's happening. So I felt an emptiness there. I felt like an insignificance. I felt myself to be insignificant. So I asked my psychiatrist, can I, at my age, ask legally for euthanasia? She looked at me and she immediately said, "You're fucking crazy, dude. I'm gonna put you in in IC ward. I'm gonna put you in intensive care." She said, and that was a very hard experience.
What does that word mean? What you asked for the psychiatrist?
He asked for medically assisted suicide.
It's called euthanasia.
Okay, but that ain't good.
So, was that the first time you were hospitalized, River?
No, I was already hospitalized at the moment that that happened, but I just decided to say, I don't feel any significance that I can add to my future. And she said, "You're fucking crazy, and that I don't have to deal with this shit." She said, "Because you're just a young kid. Who in their right mind would allow a young kid to uh, have assisted suicide just because they feel like they're not worth the trouble of making something out of their life." So because if you come with such a severe case of feeling like it's not worth it for you, they're gonna think there's something very wrong with you, and they're gonna put you in an intensive care situation where they can closely observe you and try to help you with this feeling that you're having. The suicidal thoughts are a total killer, because some people they're suicidal to the point where they're willing to take as many lives with them as possible. And that's very sad.
Right, I agree. So, if you had to estimate the total number of times you've been hospitalized, how many times do you think it's been in total, like as a number?
I'd have to say from age 16, I was probably hospitalized once every year until about recently in 2010. That all stopped in 2010. 2010 was, uh, well, 2009 was the year that I got shot in the heart, and 2010 was the year that I met my new girlfriend for Valentine's Day. She came to my house. I thought, I can't believe my luck. There's a beautiful woman talking her ass off, and I don't know what to say, but I might as well just say, "Come sit with me next to me so that I can get a bit closer." And we got very close on Valentine's Day. So champagne pop.
How did you? That sounds great. How did you get shot in the heart?
We went over that story already early in the
Oh,
podcast, so
okay.
if you missed it, you can just listen to the podcast later because that was already covered.
All right. Cool.
So, River, what happened with that girlfriend that came to your door on Valentine's Day to sit with you on the couch? Did she stick around, or how long were you together?
We were together for about 4.5 years, Sheldon, and that was about 4.5 years of the best time of my life because I finally found someone who was as much an outcast as me, and not someone who had people's uh, uh, worst interests at heart. She's someone who has people's best interests at heart, even if she doesn't know how to express it. And I also sometimes don't know how to express it. It's something you can feel about other people, that they're they're there for other people's benefit, not just their own selfish ideals. So I was very happy to meet her, and she provided me not only with a house to live with her in, which I still live in now today. She did move out. She decided to go back to her birth country in Serbia, uh, in former Yugoslavia. She was born in Yugoslavia. And
So she gave you a house and let you keep it?
she didn't give it to me. She left it to me. We both had to sit in this house and have a conversation with the landlord, the housing association representative came to our house and said, "So I heard the story. I heard from the social services that you plan to leave the country back to your own birth country because you have your own house there even, and you are willing to leave the house behind for your partner who you are already living with together in common goods. It's living together with in common goods when you share a house and everything in it as partners." So she said to the person, "Yes, I'm willing to leave this place and leave him everything that I don't want to take with me. And is that possible?" We asked, and they said yes, that should be possible.
Wow, that sounds like a kind woman and very lucky break for you in a way. Although, of course, the end of the marriage must have been hard.
It wasn't a
And
marriage. We never got married, but it did feel like we were married because we didn't feel like making it official. That didn't stop us from feeling like we had something.
yeah, well, it sounds like you were common law. So when I said marriage, I meant your common law marriage. But yes, not your formally. We're not married. I understand. So, can you tell me a little bit about your music projects? Like, I know you produce your own original music, which you can find on the Roundtable original content channel. Tell us just a little bit about your musical endeavor.
Yeah, but growing up as a kid, like in the '90s, I came into contact with people's tastes at the moment, so De La Soul and Milli Vanilli and stuff like that. I thought to myself, you know, this is cool. I mean, they're singing a song, and the main part of the song is the vocals. So I started listening to MTV and staying up late at night to listen to Yo MTV raps. Where they didn't like make make everything about rap. It was also about hip hop, and about funk, and about DJing, MCing. And as I listened to Yo MTV raps, all of a sudden this crazy white boy Eminem decides to hijack the show and create a whole MTV series called what was it called? Something, the Eminem Show, something like that. And I thought to myself, yeah, I mean, sure, we can even call in to the studio and ask questions or say how much we like him. I decided to take it upon myself to even write the song myself and sing it. All it takes is a tape recorder and a microphone. You can sing a song. Uh, and I did record a song. It got heard, and the guy Eminem decided to visit me and just stick in a verse in between and say, "Okay, man, your song, we're gonna release it." And I said, "Yeah, man, but you're gonna have to release it for free because I don't want to be famous. And if you're gonna release it on an album, or you're gonna release it as a as a song, uh, make it a promo album, make it a promotional thing, not something you're trying to sell. Because I never wanted to be famous. I just wanted to like have a song, few songs even."
So you did a collaboration with Eminem, and then Eminem released that collaboration on his own album, but didn't give you credit because you didn't want the credit. Is that how that happened? He visited you?
He didn't make an album out of it. He made a yeah. Well, it was called an album. It was called the 2000 Collaboration Album, and it had one song called "Proceed with Caution," featuring Eminem, with the first song being by Benefit, and that was my artist name. I wanted to capture the true essence of hip hop. I'm gonna call myself Benefit, yeah, man, because I just wanted to add something right there to your your 2000 collaboration. So I'll make this song, and he noticed me. He came to my mom's house there where I still live, and he spit some verse in between like about the shoulder missiles and forming like photon and beaming off like electron. I don't know. Anyway, the guy he 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 took it upon himself to like make an album out of it, but it got lost in the big collection of Eminem albums that were out, and mostly it was just copied so much it became a free album, a promotional thing for him mostly, but also for his whole posse. The whole D12 group was already being formed around the year 1999 and 2000, and most of them were already rapping on that album. Like you'd hear voices that you could recognize even in modern day recordings, still coming back today.
Wow. I remember D12, Purple Hills, Bizarre, that big fat guy. Pretty cool, man.
There was I'll so that you can copy it. I'm gonna share that album. It's called 2000 Collaboration. It's got I think it's got about 16 songs. A few of them I already have on my YouTube channel, but anyway, I mean, I only did one song, and I never thought much of it, and I never really went back into the hip hop scene. But later on in life, about 6 years later or something, I thought, yeah, well, I've been going through some shit. I'm gonna write some more songs, and I did.
So I'm going to ask you one last question, I think, River. Since this is a conspiracy theory server, what's your take on the whole conspiracy thing? Are you a big conspiracy theory guy? Do you see yourself that way?
Oh, well, when it comes to conspiracy theories, I know for a fact that truth is much weirder than we'll ever be able to like tell our children or tell our loved ones. You know, the truth that we face on a day-to-day basis is extraordinary. The truth is much weirder, much more deep, much more strange than anybody could ever like fit into some screenplay or some book.
Very well said. Couldn't agree with you more. I think that's a strong note to end this recording on, River, although I'm happy to go on if you have anything else you want to say.
No,
But
actually,
that was a nice...
I need to take a break and make something to eat and smoke some more cigarettes, man. I mean, I'm tired.
Okay, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on the Roundtable podcast. You're welcome to participate anytime, as you know, and thank you for being part of the community, my friend.
You too. I really enjoyed talking to you, Shogun. I really enjoyed it, man.
That makes me happy, bro. I enjoyed it as well. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you to Aviator and Queen and Ainsoft for recording. Thank you to donators. Thank you to everyone who has joined the server, the social media. We'll have the YouTube channel videos up and running soon. Look out for our web store, Patreon, GoFundMe. Anyways, join us on Discord and join the party. And that being said, let's jump back to the regular voice chats. Thanks, everybody.